little things like that to help you get through it, because you can't control that situation necessarily, but you can control how you respond to it. And if you're going to be angry and bitter and resentful, if you're going to refuse to grow from it, well, then that's all of what you're going to get out of it. You'll become more bitter. You'll become more resentful. You won't grow. You'll get exactly what you set out for. But if you find a way to get something out of it, you will. And that's true about life generally. I promise you that you're going to get out of life whatever you actually want out of it. You're going to put whatever it is that you put into it. And some people are just like damn certain that they're going to get nothing out of it. Or they're damn certain that they're not going to get anything out of a class. Or they're damn certain they won't get anything out of a conversation with somebody on a trolley somewhere. And there's another thing that M is also lacking in the story, which is uncertainty. Yeah. Because like you're saying, it follows this logical pattern. You do this, you do that. Everything it does is mathematical. And it can predict behavior, which is probably how it's able to figure out what the people are going to do. Because at one point in the story, he says, it stops us from harming ourselves, which is a massive hole in the story. So how is it that it did not see him attacking and killing the other people? Why couldn't they have done that to themselves all along? Why couldn't they have done it to each other all along? For some reason, in some weird way, all of a sudden, it can't predict it, and it's so slow that not only is he able to kill one person, but three? How is it that it couldn't predict or be fast enough to stop him? But in the past, it had been fast enough to stop them from harming themselves. The only possible answer there might be uncertainty. But that's one of the things that, as humans, we dread it, but we also crave it, uncertainty. Because uncertainty opens up possibilities and hopes. The gambling? Yeah. I think I was talking about it before. Gambling, of course, it's a terrible disease, ruins families, ruins lives, but it's also the only disease that you can actually win $1 million through. So there are better and worse diseases to have, I suppose. But it's that uncertainty that a lot of times it recaptures our interest in the world. Now, I think it was in this class I was talking about when you take a little kid to the beach for the first time, how excited the little kid can get. And yet there'll be people standing around watching it, and we can get some joy and excitement from the little kid vicariously. Like, we're happy that the little kid's happy. We're happy because the little kid's excited. But the little kid has a little bit of uncertainty there, which is what's so exciting about stepping out into the water. And you're going to have different types of people, of course, people who deal with uncertainty way better. And then there are people who deal with uncertainty very, very badly. Like I'm thinking about if you're a person who, for example, who needs to be walked through every step of something. How do I do this? You gotta do this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Or if you're the kind of person who can just be given a task and told, all right, figure it out. I was thinking of a friend of mine who was talking about, he started a news organization, this guy I know. It's a long story. And they hired a bunch of college graduates when they first opened up. And he just said it was hell. Because they would tell them, here, go file this. They'd give them something, go file this downstairs. Well, where? Well, down in the file room. Okay, how? Well, and you have to walk the college graduates through every single step, because that's how they got their college degree. They checked boxes, they did what they were told, they followed the way that you're supposed to do things. And then they hired a couple of people who didn't have college degrees, but they seemed like they had some motivation, so they hired those people. It was just two of them, I think he said. And then those two people got most of the work done, because they would tell them to go file this, they go, okay. And then they would disappear, and then you'd ask them, did you file it? Yeah. And then you go check on it, sure enough, it was done. But that's because they had a little bit more of a difficult life. So they had to go through and figure things out as they went. And they ended up replacing it. Every time one of the college graduates would leave, they would replace it with a non-college graduate. What they were looking for instead were people who were self-motivated, people who had something inside them that, we call it a motor. They'd have a motor in them, so, a work ethic, a drive, but also a willingness to try to figure things out. And these are people who deal pretty well with uncertainty. And then, of course, there are people who don't deal well with uncertainty at all. They want to have everything laid out for them. I used to have a friend who wanted to have a plan for everything. And one time I remember asking her, like, do those plans ever work out? And she says, no, nothing ever goes according to plan. But as long as you started and you had a plan, it was okay. Like if she was going on a road trip, she wanted to know before she left, where you're going to go, what freeways you're going to take, how long it's going to take. And then once you're on the road, I could say, hey, you want to take a detour and check out this one thing? Yeah, okay. And then we have to go to a detour, but then she wanted to know the plan to get back on track. So it wasn't like she just didn't want to do anything spontaneous. It was just there was something in her brain that made her want to know, wanted to deal with certainty. And some of you maybe have figured out that I deal with uncertainty pretty well. What's going to happen tomorrow? I don't know. Can't wait to find out. Every day is Christmas. It's exactly what that is. Every day is Christmas because you never know what the day is going to bring. You just know that the day is going to be what you make of it. Is it a good day or is it a bad day? I never judge the day till the night. I always wait until the very end, and then you can kind of assess it all. And is it ever a bad day? No. No, you have good days, you have great days, and you have learning days. In other words, you go through and you can get something from it. And that's something I've talked a lot about recently, is that when you're going through life, you're in a class that's boring the crap out of you, you're at a job that you don't want to be at, you're talking to people you don't want to talk to. Yeah, okay, but you got to be there anyway. So once you can accept that about yourself, I've got to be there anyway. Can't control that. Now the question is, what do you do within those parameters? Can you get something out of it? Or is it a completely wasted day? And I hope you understand what I mean when I say this. For most people, it's a completely wasted day. That's why you see these massive differences in outcomes for people. There are people who can go into a situation and find a way to get something out of it. There are people who will be in a situation and no matter what, they'll never find anything good out of it. They'll never allow themselves to grow from a situation. If you have a boss that you don't like or a teacher that you don't like and you just kind of sit there and fold your arms and you refuse to get better, they're not harmed one single bit by that. But it's you who's harmed by that. And if something was different, you may not even notice it. You just kind of assume it. We assume it's always going to be this way. You can't control how other people are, but you can control how you respond to things. You can't control a situation that you're in, but you can control how you respond to things. I've mentioned him a few times before, David Goggins, who's an exceptional human being. He's the guy who's so incredibly motivated, I would never want to actually have dinner with him or anything. Because he seems like he's the kind of person who criticizes every little thing and try to motivate you to do better on even eating a steak, But he's the only guy to go through SEAL selection, Army Rangers selection, and Air Force Search and Rescue selection. He's an exceptional human being. And he talks about going through those selection processes and how it is that you can get through it, because they're designed to break you. They're designed to frustrate you. And the way that he suggested going through it, he said, you have to make a joke out of it. You have to have fun with it. No matter how bad the situation is. They might tell you, all right, go run 100 miles. And you've never run more than 3 in your life. How do you get through 100 miles? One step at a time. But the way you don't do it is every single step, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. You're breaking it down. You're breaking yourself down in your head. Instead, you've got to find a way to make it fun, make it interesting, make it funny. It's even the best way to make it interesting. And so you talk about how they'd be putting these teams together during selection. They'd be given these really difficult tasks to do. And they're designed to make you guys fight with each other, because they want to see who in that selection group comes together as a team and who ends up fighting because they get frustrated. Because you can't have people who are arguing and fighting on those kinds of teams. And he said the way they got through it was they always just had fun with it. No matter what, they always had fun with it. I can remember, I'm thinking of my old Muay Thai coach. He would have us do these exercises, and a lot of times, he'll say, for example, all right, 100 burpees. You guys have, 5 minutes to do 100 burpees. If the whole team doesn't get through it, you gotta start all over again. Now, there are a lot of coaches that when you do that, and then one person doesn't finish, they'll go, all right, good enough. He didn't do that. You sit there and everybody had to do it. And as you can imagine, every time you do it, it gets harder and harder, because now you've been doing burpees for 5 minutes, then you've been doing it for 10, and then 15 to try to get through it. So how can you get through it? You've got to have fun with it. I'd always joke and just go, hey, oh, thank you, coach, free extra training. Little things like that to help you get through it, because you can't control that situation necessarily, but you can control how you respond to it. And if you're going to be angry and bitter and resentful, If you're going to refuse to grow from it, well, then that's all of what you're going to get out of it. You'll become more bitter. You'll become more resentful. You won't grow. You'll get exactly what you set out for. But if you find a way to get something out of it, you will. And that's true about life generally. I promise you that you're going to get out of life whatever you actually want out of it. You're going to put whatever it is that you put into it. And some people are just like damn certain that they're going to get nothing out of it. Or they're damn certain that they're not going to get anything out of a class. Or they're damn certain they won't get anything out of a conversation with somebody on a trolley somewhere. You know? It's like you look at life and you just think, well, I got to be here anyway. So while I'm here, I might as well get something out of it. You've got, you know, as I said before, life is suffering. You can't avoid that. But now the question is, what are you going to do despite that suffering? Are you going to find a way to get something out of it to make it all worthwhile? Because yeah, life is much more than that. But imagine if you can get something out of the suffering. Imagine if you can get something out of the good times, and you get something out of the bad times. Out of the bad times. Sorry. Imagine you get something out of the bad times. Imagine if you get something out of the suffering. Then it's so much easier to get something out of the good times, which means you're always getting something out of it, which means you're always growing. You're always finding something enjoyable in life. And then suddenly, surprise, surprise, you're a positive person. You'll have more opportunities. People want to be around you. People will give you job opportunities because they want you around. But there's so much that you can't control. And that's the frustrating thing is what Herodotus is getting at here. Because you can know a lot. You can know whether you prepared. Did you do all the laps? Did you do all the workouts? Did you do everything? But then to be able to control so little, it's frustrating. It is frustrating. If you let it. Asterisk. If you let it. If you let it. You know, because you're going to have more control over the one thing that you have a great deal of control over. Probably the only thing that you really have a lot of control over is your attitude, how you approach things. You know, can you train and become a great runner? Yeah, but if the wrong pebble is in the wrong place on the wrong track, you trip and fall and break your leg and you never run again. Can't control that. But you can control how you respond to things, and that's going to make all of the difference in the world. Certainly in your world. So, to know so much, have control over nothing. Maybe not nothing. Maybe your attitude. Maybe it's a lot more than we realize. So, questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques. Dope. Happy Monday.